Hi, this is James Gordon-Ortolai here with a top list video. Today I'm doing the top 5 novel adaptation remakes I would like to see. These are novel adaptations that I am not happy with, and I would like to see them remade into better adaptations that either stick more true to the source material or make improvements on the original that failed to make the adaptation interesting. So, without further ado, let's begin. All right, so for my number one, my first pick is First Blood by Deborah Morrell. Now, this of course was made into the big hit '80s action flick First Blood with Sylvester Stallone in '82, and I absolutely do not like this adaptation at all. To me, it's like Disney directed this, as they have made so many changes to the story. They toned down the darkness and violence in the film, and they made Rambo a pushover, which I did not like at all. And there's a scene in the book which they completely edited, and I was absolutely mad because there's this one scene in the book where a cop attempts to shave Rambo's beard off without shaving cream or running water, and Rambo has a flashback that he's going to be tortured by his captors, as he's was a POW during the Vietnam War, and this causes him to snap, and basically he disarms the cop and basically slits his guts open with the razor, and all his guts spill out, and the other two cops are watching, are freaking out as they're trying to save their fallen officer as Rambo storms out of the basement. That was an excellent scene. The movie went the completely typical PG bullshit way, where Rambo just basically disarms the cop, but punches him in the head and knocks him out clean. I hated that. That was stupid. So, for this adaptation remake, I would like to see a film that sticks more true to the source material and does not shy away from the violence or darkness that was in the book. Now, as for the war, it can be either two things. It can either be like it can be a modern it can be a modern setting. It doesn't have to be set in the 70s. If someone was to go the extra length and do that, okay. But there was someone I was talking to a couple days ago, and they thought a remake of First Blood was something that could be done today because of the setting, and which I think is complete bullshit if you ask me, because it could be set in a modern setting. It doesn't have to be set in the 70s. If someone wants to go that length and make it set in the 70s, okay. But to me, it can be set in a modern setting, and it doesn't have to be, related to an actual war. It could be a fictional war too. The other thing I would like to see is that the character is like in the novel, he's basically was a a troubled teenager that was drafted into the war, and after he left, he's now a young man, like in his early 20s, and that's what kind of character I like to see. I wouldn't want the main character to be too old. That's the thing. I wouldn't want him to be too old. And of course, I would want the film to have a R rating. Of course, I do not want a PG-13 bullshit rating. R rating is the only rating I want to see in a First Blood remake. And now and I also would like to have the villain of the film is the town sheriff of someone who's just like a ruthless guy that doesn't care anyone but himself, and basically him pushing people around. Basically, this is when he basically gets where he gets karma for all the bad things he's done, and that's what I would like to see. I also would love to see the scene in the book where Rambo's picking off the sheriff's men one by one during an intense thunderstorm in a forest, and Rambo is only going after him with a knife. I would love to see that in the film too. As for the ending of the film, it can end either two ways. It can either have the dark ending where both Rambo and the sheriff die, or the ending where Rambo defeats the sheriff and he just goes on his way. The ending can be done either way. And another thing I would not want with this First Blood remake Adaptation is just a solo film. I don't want this branching off into a series. We already got enough of those, where one film branches into this whole series, and one film is all we need. We don't need multiple films of Rambo for this remake. Okay, for my next one is Roadside Panic by Arkia and Boris Starsky. Now, this book was adapted into the 79 Russian science fiction fantasy film Stalker. And while most film critics have regarded it as this beautiful, well shot film with a lot of atmosphere and mystery to it, I don't like the adaptation of Stalker. It basically it cuts out a lot of stuff from the novel Roadside Picnic, and it just kind of it makes its own thing where it has hardly anything to do with Roadside Picnic other than the Wishmaker and some elements of the book that were kept in the film, but most of it has been changed around. And this is another adaptation remake I like to see. For this one, it doesn't. This one doesn't have to be uh, s- um, set in it's not actually set in Russia in the book. It's actually it's set in this one district where it's a heavily police zone area, and so it can be virtually anywhere. I would like it if in this adaptation remake that technology is kind of limited. It's not like all high tech and stuff, and the stalkers have a mixture of some tech and but with either old or newer weapons and stuff. And I would just like to see a film that sticks more true to the novel and the source material than diverting away from it. As this would be another film where it can have great atmosphere. It can have also some scary moments in the film too, along with some action in it. And this would be a really good film too. I'm I'm trying to I don't have many ideas of for who could play the characters and stuff. There are some directors that come to mind, but I'm not sure who to pick. But that is a remake I like to see because I really like the Roadside Panic. It's a great story, and the film Stalker it diverges away so much from the novel to the point where it's its own thing. And I really don't like it, even though that the what is it the video games, the Stalker series, they took inspiration from both the book and film, but I like the book in my opinion better. To me, the film is like its own thing. I'd rather see a film that sticks more true to the source material of Roadside Picnic. All right. Um, all right. Okay. Number three, A Scanner Darkly by Phil K. Dick. I saw the adaptation of the film of the same name, and I really didn't like the way the film looked. The director who did the film decided to do this rotoscope style thing to give it this kind of like dreamy feel to the film, and I really didn't like it. And I I know while he does follow the book, however, I felt that he changed a lot around. He made it more of a modern setting when the book is supposed to be set in in an alternate 1994, I believe, and it's supposed to be a mixture of science, some science fiction with crime in it, and the film had more of a modern feel to it as well. And the I really didn't like that. I really didn't like the characters. I really felt they weren't really fleshed out well, and even though there were some top stars to play these characters, I really felt they didn't really bring anything to the table with this film, and I was just not really pleased with it. Um, while it does fall more. Well, this adaptation does fall a little more true to the book, but it does change a lot of the source material around. So I think it'll be really interesting if this adaptation remake sets it in a more kind of violent dystopian future where drugs or drugs are really getting out of hand, and the police are taking desperate measures to stop the rise of dangerous drugs on the streets. And that's the version I would like to see. Kind of I think I would kind of say I would like it kind of have the adaptation of A Scanner Darkly, kind of similar to Total Recall, but not in an action film, more like a science fiction crime thriller, something like that would be really interesting. It could have this really kind of dark atmosphere to the film, and can have like alternate history to like some like have some events that happened differently in the past that led to this rise of like drug increase and stuff. Um, that would be really interesting, and I would like it to have it like the film with like have the film adaptation remake with live action. I don't want like it to be like the whole rotoscope or CGI thing over again because I really didn't like that at all. And there's multiple, there's a lot of actors that could play the parts and stuff, and many directors that could do this. All right, so that's my number three. Okay, number four, I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Now, this is a adaptation remake that I would like to see, along with many others who have not been satisfied with any of the films. Even though I did hear some people say that Omega Man with Charlton Heston is good. I'll have to check that out. I haven't saw that one. I've only seen The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price and the terrible Will Smith remake. The no, and the terrible Will Smith adaptation of I Am Legend, which completely changes the story around. Um, I think the problem with this adaptation is that every time um, the first one, the Last Man on Earth, it does stick true to the story, but it changes a lot around with it, and they leave out a bunch of other parts that happen in the story. I Am Legend essentially is a remake of Omega Man. That's where they kind of copied off that one. And my one thing is they kind of try to make it like into like an action film. Like it's more like horror and like it has like atmosphere in it, and it's about during the story it's about a character who's like lonely as he's like the last human on Earth, and everyone is like turned to vampires. So that was like something they completely haven't done with any of the Temptations at all. And then the ending too. The ending is very different, and no film has followed the original ending to Richard Matheson. So for this remake, I would like to see a adaptation that follows more true to the source material and just follows the story and doesn't change it around and make it into like this action, like a big action flick. I want this to be more like a horror film. That's what it should be, like a horror film with lots of like creamy atmosphere and loneliness and stuff. Uh, mm, that would be really interesting. To see that done. Unfortunately, there's now like a I Am Legend 2 coming on. Like, oh my goodness, really? They're gonna make a sequel after what? Since 2007 when the film came out. So if there was a temptation that would stick more true to Richard Lee's story, that would be great. It's unfortunate that George Romero didn't get to direct it because he wanted to do a adaptation of I Am Legend, but was unable to. So I bet George's version probably would have stuck more true to the book. So, all right, and okay, all right, and my last one might be a bit controversial, but I would still like to see a adaptation remake of this. Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. Now, everyone probably knows this film already. It was the terrible Battlefield Earth movie is atrocious. It's terrible. Um, However, the book that it's loosely based on is actually a lot better than the film. So for this Temptation remake, this one I'm kind of a bit mixed on. Like when I was talking to some people who liked the novel Battlefield Earth, they said to me they think it would do better as a mini series rather than a full length film because there's so much in the book. And I thought, well, you could do as a TV series, but it would be like a lot of work and there would be like so much to cover in each season. And I'm not really that good with TV shows. Like I find it with me is that I have to pick a day where I can watch try to get through like one disc of episodes and then take a break and then go on to the next because I'm not good with TV series. I'm more of like a movie guy. I like to put on a movie and watch it because you can watch it like a full sitting and stuff. So if they were to make a remake of Battlefield Earth into a full-length film, I feel that the only way to do it, pull it off, is to cut out a lot of the unwanted filler in the book, make many improvements to the story, also like a better ending in the film because I did not like the ending that much in the book at all, and and take out like a lot of like the subplots and stuff too. Like there's some like subplots that were just like ridiculous, and I thought, okay, this is going a little overboard now. I would like to see the film adaptation of the Cyclos look exactly how they looked in the novel, because that was the one thing I really liked in the book, was how the Cyclos looked like they were like these like 9 foot tall animal like beings that were very powerful and stuff. And I've actually looked up some fan art of Battlefield Earth, and there's some like really good illustrations people have done of like the one scene where Johnny's being chased by that hover ship, and it's like coming after him in like the ruined city. That would be something really cool to see that in the film. And there was parts in the book too, and I was just reading, I was just visualizing in my mind what these scenes would look like in the film if they was to be adapted into a more better film. Um, Again, there's multiple directors that could do this, along with some really good actors, but I think the one thing that might make it a bit tricky to do is I don't know holds the rights to the Battlefield Earth. I'm guessing Scientology it has the rights to this to the rights to this novel. As I read that apparently they tried to make this into a film back in the early '80s, and because of L. Ron Hubbell's like iron grip, he wouldn't let anyone do anything to his story, and he refused to let anyone make any changes to it, which is why it didn't get like a film adaptation in the '80s. That would have been really cool to see that, because I think it probably, if it came out in the '80s, it probably would have been more true to the source material. But unfortunately, it kind of became a disaster, disaster when it was released back in 2000s. Everyone knows. Um, but if it were possible to do a adaptation remake of Battlefield Earth that sticks more true to sticks true to the source material, but makes improvements to the story and plot, it would be a really good film, in my opinion. It'd be a really good one. So, alright. That is it for this top list video today. Hope you all enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name, a place to post your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.